right? I was at a conference recently here in Lagos, Nigeria, and a couple of CEOs were speaking, and I was telling a friend of mine, I said, look, I have come to realize that a number of CEOs are poor speakers. They are better at pitching their ideas. They are better at just talking about their stuff. But when it comes to coming to speak at events, some of them are poor speakers. They write their speech poorly written, poor punctuation marks, and they read them like that, right? And I've seen that over and over and over again. And some even shy away from even taking the stage. They rather send someone. It's okay. It's okay to delegate, but you have to be very sure that you're not delegating what should normally be your responsibility. When it comes to coming to speak, where you should actually show up. Events, you need to show speakers. Don't show up, they write their speech. So yes, go check in once in a while, maybe twice a year, then media, right? Not because you are seeing traces of any mental health condition, shy away, but because you just want to understand where you are, you want to clean your head, you want to clear your mind, and have a little bit of health. Thank you very much. You're not delegating what should normally be your responsibility. When it comes to coming to where you should actually show up.
Okay.
Events, you need to
Thank
show
you very
speakers.
much.
Don't show
Thank you so much.
your
Dr.
right their
Gideon
speech. So
Ba,
yes, go check
please
in once in a while, maybe twice a year, then
kindly
media,
introduce yourself
right?
so that
Because you are
we
seeing
ask you
traces of
your
any mental
questions,
health
please.
condition,
Thank you.
but because you just want to understand where you
Thank you
are, you
very
want to
much,
clean your head, you want to
Miss
clear your mind,
Kenny.
and have a little bit of health. Thank you very
Really
much.
honored to be here. Sorry for the network cutting
Where you
along
should
my
actually show up.
Okay.
Events, you
that
need to
when I
Thank you
show
was
very
still
much.
speakers. Don't
talking,
show
Thank
not
you
right
so
their
much.
knowing
speech.
it
Dr.
was
Gideon
off.
So
Ba,
yes, go
Thank you,
check
guest
please
in once
speakers.
in a while,
Thank
maybe
you,
twice a
seniors.
year, then
kindly introduce
Great,
yourself so that we
greetings
ask you your
from
questions,
Dr.
please. Thank
Adi.
you.
I agree to you. Yesterday, he asked me to
Thank
extend
you
my
very
greetings
much,
to you from Miss Kenny of Ghana. So, Gideon Anoba, a public health practitioner and also a medical officer. So, this is I'm working for both agencies on basic health needs. As my senior just said, mental health is very important. And at some point, you need to check, you need to consult, you need to go for a checkup. You don't need to get sick or ill from your mental state before you can see a mental health specialist or mental health care provider. Can be leading to a mental health condition. As we used to say, depression, anxiety, and even stress are mental health conditions. So it's part of what we do. You also find that in Ghana and some part of Africa, home care is something we are not usually used to. So when you are sick, you go to the hospital, then you go home. So sometimes you go home and you are not getting better. You go to a pharmacy shop or you go and continue with this local or traditional medicine, which sometimes leads to other unforeseen illness, which will even worsen the ones that you have already. So we have this home care services where we treat all manner of cases. We do refer them since most of us are health workers. And we also saw that it was helping to empower and engage some youths who were unemployed. There was a time even in Ghana, we have a group of people called unemployed graduates. We have over nurses and other health professionals who are home doing nothing. So when we introduced this initiative, a lot of youth came on board. And that generated the current one we're having, which is the emergency care service, where we train those who are already in healthcare service, those who are in other services on healthcare needs. So when there's an emergency, it can be an accident, whether home accident, occupational hazard, or even home accident, we do come help. So that's what we normally do, and we have been in this business for almost 5 years now. So that is Gideon Anoban for you. Thank you, Ms. Dako.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Gideon. You were talking about collaborations, and I mean, yes, you are currently the president of the Yali Ghana chapter or Yali Alumni Association of Ghana chapter. I've seen your works. I have worked with you. I know what you can do. Now, what are some of the challenges that, as a health practitioner, you have faced as a leader, and you wished we could provide solutions to improve the health sector, and leaders can improve as individuals and as professionals?
Thank you very much. This question makes me remember when we were kids. They asked when you grow up, about 90% of students will either say they want to be doctors or nurses. And you ask them why they want to be that, they will tell you that goes into health service thinking they will enrich themselves. So they don't have the passion to do. So normally, when they complete and they are given the opportunity to serve, they are there because they wanted to make money. So you see that care for patients is very less, especially among the young ones these days. So that's one of the challenges that I believe we shouldn't put it in mind that once you are a health worker, you're going to enrich yourself. The second one talks about this employment opportunities. Now, in Ghana, we have two professions. As soon as you complete, your work is secured. The first one is health, the second one is education. So all the youths are trying to shift their attention or moving from other sectors which could have benefited the country or even themselves to the health sector. Once they come and they are not getting the job, it becomes frustration. I know we have over 6,000 nurses who are not employed over in every year or one complete service year. So they are home doing nothing. And if even if you want to employ them, the first thing that will come in mind is how much are you going to pay me? So they are all that they are looking for is money, not to serve people. So one, we lack services, or we lack voluntary serving people to at least gain some experience and also have some skill in us which can help. Which I believe we change that motive as youth, or the young ones coming up, and know that whatever we do, it shouldn't be something out of money. But if you do it right, with passion, with clean mind, the money and other stuff will come. And also, we should try as much as service possible to serve rather than to be served. That is something I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, you said it shouldn't be about money but to serve and to be served. And then you mentioned about the fact that the two major sectors in this country where job is secured is health and education. But even with that, there are still over 6,000 nurses who are unemployed. Now, the motive behind this initiative is collaborating to achieve
Thank you
results
so much,
in this difficult
Dr.
time.
Gideon.
Now, Khaled, yes, I'm handing over to you so
Janet,
you
are
can
you
ask
there?
your question. Hi, sorry I was muted. Sorry. So I'm saying that thank you so much. You have iterated the fact that there are two major sectors in this country where jobs are secured, the health and education sector. And you have even spoken about the fact that even within the health sector, there are over 6,000 nurses who are unemployed. Now, the motive or the motivation for this initiative or this event is collab in these challenging times, and to a larger extent promote our countries, sub-regions, and the continent at large. So you see, Mr. Khalid, he's from Zimbabwe. Mr. Tolushe is from Nigeria. Dr. Gideon, you are from Ghana. Eni Mama, major journalist from Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us as well. And I like the fact that you said it's true in the health sector. Now, I'll come back to you, Dr. Gideon, and I know Mr. Khalid and Mr. Chimbari, you work with Kind Hope, or you are the leaders of Kind Hope, and the fact that you want to engage in mental health and menstrual hygiene projects. So, lucky enough, we have the two major people in our continent who are youth to help us with that. So, after that, I'm sure work and collaborate in major sectors. And we have the president of Society Influencers Foundation in Ghana, who happens to be Nimama Boy, who cuts across all these sectors and and concepts of leadership. So, Mr. Tolush, I have a question for you. Looking at the health sector, we don't know the case. I in Ghana don't really know the case of Nigeria. I have had the opportunity to participate in your mental health at work conference, which was a major conference, by the way. Congratulations on that. And we spoke about stress, we spoke about fatigue, we spoke about depression, frustration, and today I even previewed your video on how moving on closure is a myth. So we want to know not just closure by losing a loved one or from a relationship, but closure from moving on from a past event, a past job, and how leaders are able to say that they really felt sad or they felt challenged or they were down from experiencing a particular incident, especially leaders in the limelight or leaders in organizations like ourselves. What do you think closure should mean to us? And how do you think we should go about fatigue and stress as leaders? Thank you.
Jenna, this is a setup. You just set me up.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So um the video you're talking about. So let me shed some light on it. So we hear people talk a lot about closure, but the goal of that video is to point the attention to healing much more than you seeking closure. The goal should be for you to heal, which is progressive. Healing is not once and for all. Healing does not happen suddenly. Healing does not happen like when you hit a car because you did not apply the brakes. No. Healing is gradual. Time is a factor. Deliberate steps and deliberate actions is a factor. And so when we look at it from that context, we would understand that it's not about you seeing the person who has hurt you, or you going on a break because you don't want to talk to anybody and all. It's about what are the steps that you have taken towards healing. And if you notice, I paid attention and I made emphasis to the fact that you need to seek professional help when you realize that you're not able to. Now, as youth leaders, as individuals in the workplace, stress would come. Now, stress could be external, could be internal. What the question is, how do you, first of all, prevent what should be a stressor from stressing you? And second of all, when you feel stressed, how do you manage it? The key thing is you even trying to identify what the stressor or stressors are so that you're able to deal with the stressors and then build up a response to the ones that you cannot control. And what that presupposes is that we must come to terms with the fact that because we are human, we do not have powers over everything around us. We are not able to control everything around us, and we are not able to hold on to everything around us or change how things are. But we have the power to change how we respond to those things. We have the power to change how we react to those things. And when things come up, we must first of all ask ourselves, this response that I want to give, this reaction that I want to give, what is the long-term effect? Or what could be the long-term effect if I respond or react this way? That helps you to gauge how you respond because you're thinking long term. As a leader, you cannot think short term. You have to think long term. Even if you provide short term measures, you have to think of how the short term measures won't affect the long term measures, right? Those are the things that we have to do as leaders because we can't take away the whatever it is. You first of all need to identify what your triggers are, what your stressors are, and then begin to build up a response to those things. The stressors and the triggers that you can remove from your life, you get them out of the way. The ones that you cannot, you have to build your response to it, because you cannot run away from them and you have to keep living. You have to keep showing up. And so you have to build your response to them. I remember back then as a teenager, I was sharing with someone this morning. Anger was a big deal for me. I had serious anger issues. And in secondary school, I became the senior prefect, like the head boy. And one Sunday morning, it was a boarding house. A classmate of mine, but he repeated, so he was now my junior technic practically, but of course, technically still my classmate, wanted to throw bread with egg to another fellow who had vexed him, and then it splashed on me. And then in anger, I took my own bread as well and I stoned him. And then all of us were presented before the student. No, okay, so we were summoned or our names were written and also they invited him to the student um, disciplinary council. I wasn't invited to the council. I mean, I was a senior prefect. But I was brought out on assembly ground and I was flogged. So while the other students were giving 8 strokes of the cane, I was giving 4 strokes of the cane. But that was the day that I sat and said to myself, I cannot control people from saying what they want to say, but I can control how I respond to what they say. And I said to myself, I must build up myself to a point where I can control how and when to respond to people even when I'm angry. So what I started doing was if I'm in a place and you're saying something and I'm getting angry, I'll just walk away. And I'll walk away. I'm angry, but I'll walk away, put my thoughts together. When I know that the anger has died down, then I will approach you and tell you how I felt about what you did to me. And I won't even wait for you to apologize unless you call me and I'll move on. Why? I am not telling you because I want you to apologize, but I am telling you because I want you to know that you hurt me. But I realize that you won't always have access to people who offend you or who hurt you or who stab you or whatever. Because sometimes they're either far away from you or they've even gone. So what do you do? There's a technique that is called the Gestalt therapy technique, which talks about the empty chair technique, where you assume that the person is seated in that empty chair and you're telling the person everything that the person has done and how you feel about that person or the act of the person. It helps, to be very honest. But is that the real closure? Is that the real thing that you want? Or you want me to live your life fully without you thinking about what you could have done, what you didn't do, what somebody did to you? You want to live your life free of guilt. You want to live your life free of, oh, I made a mistake, or maybe if I had not. And that's what I'm talking about. That look, healing is a progress. We must seek to heal from whatever happens to us rather than seeking how to close the door to that particular issue that happened, right? So for me, that's the perspective that I am coming from. That look, whether it's in the workplace that someone left or offended you, or within the family, whatever it is, once there is a case of heartbreak in whatever form, once there's a break, a case of emotional breakdown, you must come to terms with the fact that you may not be able to obtain closure. Because sometimes closure is like you opening up wounds that are already. So imagine you have an injury. Um, Dr. Bach can testify that you have an injury and then you go for dressing. Each time they remove the plaster, it will seem as though the wound is fresh again. And as they're cleaning, you are feeling the pain again, and they cover it back again. And you go every time to remove the plaster for the cleaning, you feel pain, and then they put it back, they remove it again, and feel pain. So imagine that is exactly the way matters of the heart are. Each time you say you're seeking closure, you are reliving and retalking how you feel. In your mind, you're talking and it's helping you, yes. But the truth is, you've not moved past the stage. You've not grown beyond what has happened. You're only revisiting an issue each time. And as you revisit it, you say more. As you revisit, you say more. Right? At some point, nobody's responding. At some point, you just realize that it begins to wear you out. So it's okay to want to seek closure from people who ought you either as followers or as members of your organization and all of that. But you must remind yourself to the fact that look, I own my own peace. I own how I respond to this situation. I must respond in a way that I am the one healing and progressing in my healing and not to be bothered about whether this person apologizes or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. One thing I picked from that was that you cannot control people from saying what they want to say, but you can control how to respond to them or how to respond to what they say. And we've seen all of that. Most of us in leadership roles, we have heard a lot. I'm sure Nee has heard a lot. I'm sure as for Dr. Gideon, we have heard a lot on how to respond to people. And if you don't take care, you will be seen as the villain because they'd rather play the victim. Now, Tolisha, one more question from my side before I go to Dr. Gideon. Do you think that as youth have the capacity to actually operate as mental health practitioners, seeing how we are always advocating for of advocating about stress, against stress, overworking, quiet quitting, quiet hiring, this and that? Do you think the youth have what it takes to actually fully operate as, or especially those in the health sector, to fully operate as mental health practitioners? Because you come across some youth, you engage with them, they say they are mental health advocates, but they don't really know much about what you are saying. Most of them don't even know that certain things are myths. Certain things have to do with getting to know yourself, getting to overcome them. You, like how you explained in your closure video, sometimes talking as if the person is there, talking one on one, and then bringing out all those. Do you think we have the capacity, or the youth in the health sector have the capacity to venture into this mental health practice whilst considering their potential and their abilities?
I do believe strongly that everyone has the ability to be anything as long as you're willing to study for it and put the time into it. I mean, I wanted to study medicine for starters. I was home for about 2 years or thereabout. I was chasing medicine. Every admission I got was biochemistry, from federal universities and state universities. But I ended up going to private university, who was supposed to give me medicine. And then along the line, I found myself in biochemistry. I should have quit, right? But then I felt, okay, my parents had paid school fees. I was going to finish it. Then I finished it. During my youth service, I finished it, and I finished with a grade that couldn't get me direct entry into university for a second degree in medicine. There's what we call the National Youth Service Corps here in Nigeria, where you're mandated to serve the country for 1 year. You're posted to different organizations, different states, and all. I was teaching in a city called Abeokuta in Ogun State, and I was running my A levels in Kwara State, Ilori. Now, put in perspective, Ogun State to Kwara State is solid 4 to 5 hours journey, and I would go every 2 weeks to attend class, come back to my place of primary assignment. And the day I wrote the last paper, which was physics, now for those of us who are religious, I could sense God telling me that I sent you on this journey to go write A levels. So I came back to Lagos and I began job hunting. But I realized that I'd lost my mom in 2006, 2005, lost my paternal grandmother in 2006, and for those period I withdrew. I became a quiet person and all of that. And my head was like, I mean, everybody thought this guy is growing, he's growing, and all. And it took me 8 years before I realized that I had unresolved grief within me. So when I started working, I was living with a friend who happened to be a psychiatrist. So he just noticed that each time I got back from work, I would just say hello and then go to my room and they wouldn't see me again until the next day. So one day he waylaid me. That's the term I like to use. And then we got talking, and that was how I found relief. And I said to myself, imagine how many people out there who don't have this opportunity that I have had this evening, to have someone sit them down and really ask, how are you inside, not just how are you outside, and have serious talk. And so I began by being a mental health advocate. Now, the challenge that we face, right, is that a number of persons become advocates by stumbling on it. That's one. Two, people become advocates because they had a friend or a neighbor, someone who went through a crisis and they just want to talk about it. But what they do not realize is that they actually need to be equipped and to gain knowledge, not just by reading blogs, but reading. There are courses that can be taken. I do tell people that we all cannot be professionals, but we all can be advocates. And you can take it a step further. We have things like psychological first aid, where you're not just an advocate, but able to proffer first aid to people when they come to you. So when I became an advocate, I kept saying to myself that after all the talks and advocating, Where do these people go to for treatment? So I went back to study again. I began to equip myself with tools, obtain certificates that would give me the genuinity to actually come out to say I'm a therapist. And I began. I did human nutrition and dietetics. I did psychology. I did cognitive behavioral therapy. I did neuro linguistic programming. I did life coaching, emotional intelligence. I did everything because I wanted to be fully equipped to actually help people. So the real question should be, how do they want to help? Do they want to help by educating, or do they want to help by helping? I mean, each time I tell some of my colleagues that I want to quit therapy, I want to go into mental health education as if as full time, they're always like, no, you cannot, you cannot. And the day I say it, I get like people rushing to my DM, like, I want to book therapy and all. Because, yes, across the globe, we have shortage of mental health professionals, right? So there is that shortage that nobody really wants anybody to step out of it. We also have a gap in terms of education, a full blown gap. And these days, social media has become something else. Everyone and anyone is an advocate, and some of them cannot even define what mental health is. But I don't blame them. They have their own place. I just always try to encourage them to say, look, if you go on Coursera, if you go on Udemy, there are courses that you can take that will help you become a better advocate. Like, can move from just telling what you read in blogs or sharing the story of one person, or use your own story. How one time like that you did not have money and then you're talking to yourself and they realize that, come on, I'm a big person, I'm a big man, and all of that motivational speaking. Then you can be a better advocate. So I believe that we have the resources, we have the skills, we have the resources rather, we have the manpower. They just need to build the skills to be these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your contribution and all. Dr. Gideon, I'll come to you, but before that, let me appreciate our partners and sponsors for this. Um, I would like to start with Kind Hope Organization. I mean, the initiative is great in Zimbabwe, and also it will be in Zimbabwe, it will be in Nigeria, it will be everywhere, the Gambia, Uganda, and all. I want to say a very big thank you to Sharing Education Community College from the UK and Ghana, Dodowa Oyibi as well. We want to say a big thank you to Ekrasi Impunto Foundation. Ekrasi Impunto Foundation is a foundation that helps young people to get mentees to further their education. Others get scholarships, training, capacity building opportunities. Legend Health Link, that of Dr. Gideon Bar Jr. Society Influencers Foundation, my very own Mama Boy, Rank Digital Marketing Consultancy. They are airing this free on the YouTube channel at Rank Digital Marketing GH. Rural Consulting, of course, Mr. Tolusedo Francis. Eastern Tech Hub, Henry Osabute Foundation, Heritage Jews of Togo, the Entrepreneurial Adventure of the Gambia, Street Fund Global, a global initiative with its headquarters in Ghana, Africa Reformation Initiative of Uganda, and some naturals of Ghana, and Strictly Social Africa of Ghana, Kenya, and I think Namibia as well. Thank you very much for coming on board this. Some of you are streaming it in your various social media platforms for people to join. I want to say a very big thank you, to you, our panelists, Tolusha Dove Francis, Dr. Gideon Bar, Khaled Tafajwa Ni Mama Boy. If you're watching us on YouTube, I want you to leave us a comment as we read and then share. Kindly prepare your questions as well, and we will read them for our speakers to also answer. Now, Dr. Gideon Bar, let's come to you. Health section and leadership. You when you became a leader, people were questioning your ability to actually lead an association of over 2,000, 7,000 trainees or alumni, and you've been able to efficiently and effectively execute your responsibilities. I mean, Tolusha is also of the Rotary Act, if I'm not mistaken, of nine. He just handed over. Big ups to you. And Dr. Gideon, let me say, I need to ask you this question so that people can start coming in with their questions. How are you able to deal with issues of collaboration beyond the health sector, because it is believed that those in the health sector are always focused, they're always busy, they're always trying to save lives. You people don't even follow bureaucratic rules and regulations. Is to save the life first and then you come and explain. So how are you able to deal with or bridge the gap of collaboration outside of the health sector? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Darko, for the question. In fact, health sector is one of the sectors that really follow these bureaucratic rules. As my senior Tulisi said, health sector is so broad and so wide. One person doesn't take decision. And it's one of the sectors that is always meeting different angles, different people, and also always pushed to the wall. When it comes to collaboration, let me use my office as an example. Formerly, I used to do consultation for clients, but and every later I went to the directorate as a management staff, and every day you have to go for management meeting, listen from the orderlies, the senior medical officers, their contribution, their response, their challenges, and the way forward. So before you even move, you know what happened at the ward during cleaning session. There will be a time you have to take decision that is even beyond you, beyond books. Something you have never done before, you have to try. So it's one of the sectors when it comes to collaboration, we are always uh, active and very proactive in doing that. So that is why I believe that it, I was able to help Yearly Alumni Association Ghana chapter to at least make some changes in our communities in the past 1 year. So collaborating with the youths or other agencies, I thought that it goes beyond what we are doing now. As the speaker just said, that if you want to collaborate with someone, you need to first assess we go into collaboration, what happens? So imagine now I'm in Ghana and I want to collaborate with people from the Gambia, from Nigeria, from all over Africa or even outside Africa. How do we go about it? The first thing you have to keep in mind that it's not about what you get, but the impact you are going to make. It's about the outcome, how people will benefit from what you are doing. So whether you collaborate with Rotary Club, with an academic institution, or maybe a computerized agency, what is going to be the benefit? So if you outweigh the benefits for people, the positive ones, then you can agree or conclude that, okay, now for what I have now, or the kind of impact I'm going to make, it worth partnering with or help collaborating with. So other youth agencies who are not even part of or have anything to do with health are now partnering with Ghana, like Legends Health Link Ghana chapter now, which means we are not only going to limit ourselves to what we know. One guy brought this idea of this mental health issues to help or to partner with Legends Health Link to go into these junior high schools and senior high schools in the country, where we can also help students in their academics and also other developmental stages in their life, which is one of the things that we believe that every youth should do something. You find someone you believe can help, what they are doing is impactful, you join them, then you make that impact so that people will feel your presence. It's not going to be that we are not employed, so we should be there. Sometimes it's true, people go into this collaboration because they want money, because they want to get green card, because they want to travel, they go because someone to go to Mandela, Washington. They know that if you are working with other youth agencies doing something in your community, you can get that access. So that's their mindset. But you should go beyond this. What do I gain? Leadership or being a leader goes beyond 1 year, 2 years. in the next 10 years, what kind of impact, if I look back, have I made or can I do? And these are some of the things before you can partner or collaborate with someone, you think of or you put into consideration. So if you weigh the positive ones against the negative ones, and you believe that what you are going to do is going to help, even if not 10, but at least one person, that one person can also influence about 10, which at the long run will help everyone. So that now we're not going to face any challenge, whether mental health, whether technology, whether emotional health, whether in academics, or whether into social collaborations, whether you want to travel. Now, I know that on this platform alone, I have about 6 countries I can visit, and I know I'll get someone there. So that network alone will also help me expand my territories, expand my field of thought. So the collaboration goes beyond what we are doing now. It comes with sacrifices, though. It comes with losing something, sometimes even your own self. But if it's worth it, it's good you go into it. So that is one I would like to say. If there is a follow up question, then I take it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gideon. There's no follow-up question. We'll do those follow-up questions in the chat and write letters to you because our time is fast spent. Thank you so much. Please, at this juncture, we would like to take some questions. Tafa Joachimbai, today I haven't heard from you at all because I know you're very knowledgeable and wise person. And Mr. Kasim, if you have something to say to this, I mean, in Zimbabwe, you're organizing a whole lot of activities. Recently, you had a capacity building. Very soon, you want to do your menstrual hygiene. Dr. Gideon is here, mental health. Tulusha is also here. Tulusha is a doctor, but he doesn't like to be called a doctor. He just likes his name like that. So please, if you have any questions or contributions you want to add to this, let's kindly do so in the next 2 minutes so that we can draw the curtain and call it a day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Lucy and Dr. Gideon. Thanks, Janet. From my end, I just want to say I've realized when it comes to menstrual health, there's always, I want to believe there are substitutes. I see some people doing the recycled pads, things like that. So now my question is on what are we supposed to do? Like how do we go about it and teach people so that they are aware of these things? Because some of the people, they don't know the dangers, the advantages of using these recycled pads, how they are supposed to use them. Because you look at most African people, in terms of earnings, cash wise and stuff, they are not very rich to the extent that they afford these things. Only a few girls can afford this, but we have quite a number of them that are failing to get these. Of course, we do donations like we are doing now. We have about 70 packs of sanitary pads that we'll be donating soon once we are done with our campaign. But you realize that it's something that is not really sustainable. We want to create sustainability that will be able to assist these girls in the rural areas and stuff like that. So are there materials that can be used? Is there a substitute for these things that the girls can use so that at least we assist them, that also can be done in a hygienic manner which does not affect them health wise later on? And then the other issue is I think it's a suggestion. I was suggesting we could do a collaboration as well, which focuses on sexual reproductive health and rights, which we heavily market. We have kids from high schools, universities. We get to teach people, they get to ask questions, and they get to be given, adequate answers to these things. Because you look at some of these youngsters, they are getting STIs, they're getting HIV positive out of lack of knowledge. They don't have a platform where they are taught and they get to ask questions and get to be answered in a correct manner. Someone just says when they see something funny happening to them, they go on Google, but they don't get, the correct information. Or if they had gotten the correct information before, it wouldn't have gone to that. Because if you see someone now Googling what's happening with me, things like that, probably by then it will be too late. Some can't even approach their friends or their families, they'll stigmatize them, things like that. So I was thinking maybe we should look into that. You guys can suggest, if you're up for that, we can do something like that. Because I've seen most of youth are really perishing with regards to this. So yeah, I think these are part of my submissions.
Okay, I'll
I
have
see
Dr. Gideon answer that. Yeah.
there's a hand up there. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Gideon will
Okay.
take that. Yeah. So, Dr. Gideon, do you mind taking it?
Yeah. First of all, in Ghana, we have this National Adolescent Council, which is part of Ghana Health Service Initiative, where we train teachers, this second cycle, that is junior high schools and senior high schools, to become our ambassadors. So even every year we do have two sessions, the regional camp and the national camp. So national camp happens 2 years, 2 years, where we gather most of those who can afford to join the national one and also the regional one, and we're also even trying to go as low as district ones, which I think Yearly Alumni Ghana Association even did a project with one of the districts in Ghana this menstrual hygiene day, where we even distributed reusable sanitary pad, because we saw that now even if you want to do donation on sanitary pads for the adolescents, how many times can you do in a month? The cost involved, and even moving from your station to those areas. But if there's a way of giving them one sanitary pad which can last for about 6 months and it's also hygienic, why not? When 30 years ago, was what our parents used to have, which was this it's like a towel where they will use it, wash it, dry it, iron it, keep it somewhere. So at the end of the month, they will still go for it and use it. So it's one of the ways we can help. And also, aside that, we have this ambassadorship for the adolescents called Adolescent Health Ambassadors. They are like a peer group individuals where they will meet their peers, tell them what they want. These days, almost every child, if you pick 10 children or 10 adolescents or youth, 9% are using phones, smartphones. So we have this app, Youth Must Know in Ghana, uh, which when they go there, you can get videos, you can get audios, you can get pictures, you can even get tests where they can read, understand, and we have even a section where you can ask questions, and within 20 minutes, you respond to, which some of us are even part of those behind the scenes, helping, answering questions, sometimes even do a call follow ups, sometimes send people to them. So these are some of the ways we can help our adolescents, help the youth in terms of their health needs. Meeting them, you can even form focus group discussion outside school in the evenings. I was having some NGO where, because I moved from where I was working, uh, I couldn't do a follow up because those I was working with couldn't continue. Where we have this group of people, we meet every Friday and every Sunday. So for Friday, instead of them to go outside, we bring them in, take them through some of the things that they used to know about their health, about their mental stage, about business. Sometimes we even do pitching for them. So these are the ways adolescents we can help the youth understand Ghana has uh, some little resources, pushing the leaders, pushing the peer educators, pushing the ambassadors, pushing those involved or the stakeholders. So it's one of the ways we can do it, whether from Ghana or outside Ghana or even outside Africa, to help. And it's good that we are here. I believe by the time we are done with this section, I may have networks in Nigeria. I may have network in Zimbabwe, in Gambia, in all over Africa, which one day you can invite me to your country and we can also invite you here. We do exchange programs to help build up an organization or the African that we are all yearning for to help everyone. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Khaled. I hope your question is answered. And yes, for the sanitary towels, there's a way of teaching them, and there are organizations that actually make these sustainable sanitary towels. So, like Gideoba said, in due time, we can organize and then teach them and show them how to go about it and how to keep them in hygienic conditions. Okay, thank you very much. Any more follow up questions?
Thank you. That's all I had, and thank you so much for that very rich response.
Okay.
Much appreciated. I don't know, Toulouse maybe has something to say with regards to 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 my submissions. I don't know, Mr. Toulouse.
I don't think I have anything to add anymore. I think it's been quite summed up. I mean, collaborations are everywhere. You just need to reach out to the appropriate persons, and I think it begins from what exactly do you want to achieve with what you want to do, and that should guide you to who you reach out to. It's not just enough that you have a list of organizations that you're collaborating with, but what do you want to achieve? What does it bring to the table for those organizations as well? I always like to tell people that look, when you're collaborating or you're trying to collaborate with other persons, first of all, think what you are going to offer to the persons you want to collaborate with before thinking of what you are going to get from collaborating. That way, you're able to convince the people that you want to collaborate to even look towards you and to even agree to collaborate with you. But yes, I think we need to actually go out there and do very well in terms of collaboration with other persons. Some of us are not good event organizers. I'm very poor at organizing events. I'm an operations person. Like, I love to start the background and running things. But you see, telling me to be at the forefront of running things. And that's why people always challenge me that with how long you have been in this industry, you should be organizing events. I'm like, fair that that you to come around, So those opportunities are they understand where your strengths are, collaborate with persons who have the strength that you don't have, and that's where you run excellent campaigns and excellent. And the health sector, yes, needs to do much more. Like I said earlier, there is this barrier. I don't know if it happens in that country, but there's this barrier where the doctor feels is more superior than the nurse. The doctor feels is more superior than the therapist. Even within the circle of doctors, an house officer is treated as if he's a nobody. A senior registered as if he's just coming up. A consultant feels like he's the alpha and omega of that particular institution. Of course, they spent years, studying and all, but then these are some blind sides that end up hindering collaboration within the health sector. And it's the same in the mental health industry. So I often tell my colleagues that you need to know when it's time for you to refer someone to a psychiatrist. You just need to know. If you're a social worker, you need to know when to refer someone to a mental health therapist. You need to know that this is beyond what you should be handling. Even if you have learned the techniques and the skills, you still need to recognize that, and understand that okay, this is the limit to which I should do things and then refer. But not it's not because it's competition, it's because there are frameworks around these and there are things that you may not be empowered to do that the other person is empowered to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Khalid, you see the number of awards and citations on his wall. He's not he's not joking.
So for startups, I'm working on something around Founders Connect for startups where they come to talk about the emotional and mental health angle of the work that they do. But it hasn't launched yet. I want to take it around the cities of Nigeria and then gradually take it to other African countries physically, not virtually this time. But we'll get there. It's a journey. It's a journey. Let's just be doing what we're doing in our own little corners, and then gradually we expand across the continent and across the globe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for making the time on such a busy Saturday. Normally, Saturdays are for our rounds, but you've made the time. Thank you so much, Dr. Gideon. Thank you so much to Lucia, Khaled, Tafajwa, Thank you so much to all our partners. They are the YouTube channel now because they have YouTube. They don't want to come here. So next time we let them come here. And then yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Strictly Social Africa and Sam Naturals, Africa Reformation Initiative, Street Fund Global Entrepreneur Adventure, Heritage Youth, Henry Osabute Foundation, Eastern Tech Hub, and of course Tolisha Rural Consulting, Rankdigital, the YouTube channel broadcasting it for us for free. Society Influencers Foundation, Legends Health Link from Dr. Gideon, Kind Hope, Sharing Education, and the Crossing Punto Foundation. Thank you so much for making the time. And we have our next and final plenary session coming Saturday until, and then the final International Youth Day on the 12th of August. So thank you so much, everyone. Leave your comments, subscribe, share, and follow Kind Hope Organization at Facebook at Kind Hope. Follow all our speakers. Lucia Francis is on YouTube. Dr. Gideon is on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Follow Khaled on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much. And Tafadra Chimbari as well. Our details are all going on our YouTube channel, and we're going to promote it and promote it and promote it. Thank you so much. Let's continue collaborating and achieving great results and coming together, because if we don't do it, nobody will do it for us. Once our leaders see that we're actually doing it for ourselves, not relying on them, they're actually going to come to us and ask for our input when it comes to national development policies. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much once again. Let's all stay blessed. Let's continue making impact so that no one is lost and no one is wasted. Let's keep gathering in souls so that together we all get to our destination. Thank you so much for your time. From my end, it's a wrap, and until next week Saturday, it's a goodbye from my end. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you so